Hi everybody, welcome into the Irish NFL show. It's a Sunday. Thank you for joining us, whether you're watching us on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube in partnership with Pundit Arena, or listening to us on our podcast. You can search for Irish NFL show. We're on multiple providers, both Apple, Google, Spotify, etc. Welcome in to everybody, but a special welcome in today to Mark. Mark, and I know you missed the live show on Friday night. Thanks for joining us, Mark.
Uh, Thanks, Michael. Always a pleasure. Unfortunately, Super Bowl week, gets to you in the end when you're a bit older.
Honestly, like this is being pre-recorded on a Saturday. I was sitting watching Liverpool get beat there, and honestly, boys, I think I've actually relaxed for the first time ever in like the last week. But I know what you mean. Before we bring the other guys in, Mark, just your thoughts. Obviously, that show last night on Friday night that went live was about JJ Watt.
Yeah.
Did it shock you? I mean, I know it was quite obvious it was going to happen, but it was quite quick, wasn't it?
It was extremely quick. I mean, they made their mind up quickly. I like to give the Texans a tiny bit of credit here. They could, of course, have maybe got a low draft round pick for JJ Watt. He's not the JJ Watt he used to be, but someone would have taken a flyer on him. But they decided ostensibly to do the right thing by a franchise icon. So delighted to see that for him. And he obviously doesn't want any more of the palaver going on in Houston. So maybe they did one thing right by JJ. And now, Jesus, the draft, the rush for him and maybe getting a ring begins. Obviously, TJ might have a say in trying, and Derek, of course, in trying to bring him to the Steelers. But that's yet another storyline with all the quarterback palaver. That's another great storyline to watch this offseason.
Well, I asked Colin and Brian this last night, so I'll quickly ask you this: where do you think JJ will end up?
At this moment in time, I haven't got a clue because he has said he wants to get a ring and that's his main focus. So if I'm him, I'm even waiting to see the draft. I'm kind of waiting to see who's the runners and riders and not making any rush decisions. Um, Pittsburgh is appealing for the family connections and they're not a million miles off it. But if someone like Tampa Bay or Kansas City kind of says, "Well, come and do rotation role here," of course they've got to be jumping straight to the top of the queue. So let's see who's interested in him, and let's more importantly see who he is interested in.
And obviously, Mark, thank you for joining us. Join as well with Brian and Colin. Lads, welcome in. Good afternoon. Good morning.
How's it going? It's nice. It was like a game of Where's Wally with Mark, and we located him. So happy days.
Yeah, I just think I'm not called a Wally either, Colin.
I just thought Mark decided to avoid that show because he was so upset with watching the celebrations all week and a little bit more looser Tom Brady than we've seen in the past when he's been celebrating other Super Bowls. And I thought maybe that one had just finally caught up with Mark, the reality of what's happening.
I will be honest, Brian. I did share with a couple of Pats fans, obviously, that I'm friends with. There was a little bit of me that hurt watching him in the sun having a lot more fun, it seemed almost, at that Super Bowl party. Certainly more imbibing had occurred, to say the least.
Yeah.
Right.
We touched on that last night. It was very much different type of atmosphere to what we're used to seeing when the Patriots celebrate. A lot more controlled, shall we say.
One thing that we touched on very briefly last night, lads, and I guess we didn't really give it enough time before we bring our guest in today. Trevor Lawrence had his pro day, which was brought forward on Friday. Obviously, Colin, no NFL combine as we know it this year. But have you any takeaways from that? He did pass the ball, which I find interesting.
Yeah, well, there was a talk beforehand. The moving it forward, I suppose, came because of shoulder surgery that he's going to have, but it came at the suggestion of Urban Meyer. And then Urban Meyer was standing in the center circle whilst Trevor Lawrence was throwing the ball around. So I think you can say that it's very unlikely that Jacksonville is trading that number one pick. All signs point to the fact that they're already in contact. They're already looking to develop that relationship. I think I saw a comment saying it was akin to watching Steph Curry shoot hoops. He threw, I think, the ball 52 times. I think Powell was the wide receiver. That it was probably did more for Powell's draft stock than anyone else's. The other probably takeaway are it's interesting how the college measurements always seem a little bit inflated when the combine measurements or the NFL measurements come out. He's a little bit shorter than we were led to believe, a little bit lighter than we were led to believe, but he does have shovels for hands, which will please, those who take notice of hand size in terms of what it means for an NFL franchise QB. But look, Trevor Lawrence is going number one in the draft. That has been known for a while, and the pro day did nothing to dissuade that. He like it's his competitive spirit. I think that's probably his biggest trait, other than how well he throws the ball. I am fascinated to see how he does when he comes into the league. He is an absolute born winner.
And Brian, obviously, a lot of teams were there yesterday. Even though it's common knowledge that Jacksonville had the number one pick, there was still a lot of teams in presence yesterday.
Yeah, I believe 8 teams in total, and some analysts and journalists last night were looking for an avenue to say, oh, maybe potentially they aren't going to pick him because all these teams have turned up. But the reality is, like any year when there's a first round pick available for his pro day, other teams turn up because they want to do their own kind of interpretation, due diligence ahead of the draft, or potentially next year where they could end up playing him. So they're all going to do their own scouting for several reasons. But I think Colin has touched on it, and the fact that Urban Meyer was even doing interviews with NFL Network thereafter, where no one else was, pretty much sums up what we already know, that he's definitely going number one in the draft. Yeah.
It'll be interesting. Hopefully, we'll be live on draft night, boys. We'll check the schedules. I know Mark. We'll see if you're available. I'm only joking. I'm holding against you for the next 7 minutes. But Mark, anything to take away from that pro day? I mean, it's going to be very different this year with no combine. And honestly, I forgot there was no combine until the day after the Super. I was like, oh no, what are we going to talk about for the next 7 months?
They've done a great job to get the Senior Bowl on, which is important for scouts and important for like the comparisons and the little bit of business maybe that will go on behind the scenes there. But the fact that Lawrence did a pro day is surprising in itself. I mean, he didn't have to. There's a few comparisons. I think it was the Luck who did a pro day when he also had nothing really to gain by it. And in fact, equally like Lawrence, needed some operation on his non-throwing shoulder before he started in the NFL. So he had actually everything to lose. So the fact that he did it kind of shows a bit of strength of character. But maybe, as you say, the Jags were a bit instrumental in saying, no, we really do want to see you throw a few balls. He did it with a bunch of receivers he doesn't really know as well, which again could have gone badly wrong. But he looked the real deal. The most interesting thing for me is obviously Tony Khan wasn't there, although Urban Meyer was. And so now he's about to hand over the keys to probably the most important player for the next 15 years for the Jacksonville Jaguars, or London Jaguars, as I know you like calling them, without ever actually having met the man in person or having to shake his hand. That's the weird world we live in 2020, 2021. It's also been a little bit overshadowed, I think, about the hoo-ha, shall we say, about one of Urban Meyer's choices of a coach, which has since been rescinded. The delicate matter, should we say, of Chris Doyle. Well, it's not delicate, just that Urban Meyer shouldn't have hired him in the bloody first place. And certainly many characters came out and players came out, including the Fritz Pollard Alliance, and greatly criticized the hire. So good to see that they adjusted. But again, you got to question the thinking there. Why did they go there in the first place?
Time will tell, and we have months to look ahead of this, so it's going to be interesting. But it was great to see everybody and folks on Friday night taking part in a live stream. Really enjoyed it, albeit Mark wasn't there. Last joke in that sense, but great crack on Friday night, and obviously back today, Sunday. We've got a great guest today, a guy obviously very popular in the NFL, UK, Ireland, Europe scene. He's done fantastic, especially in the last season. And Colin, do you want to introduce our guest to the public today?
Well, I almost feel like because you announced this live last night that we were having the guest, and left myself and Brian in limbo as we wondered who this was going to be. You tantalized, you teased. I think Michael, the big reveal needs to come from you in this instance.
Okay, Grant. I mean, that sounds good. No, I mean, we've been talking to him on Twitter. It's all good. Obviously, a guy in such high regard in NFL UK circuit, a guy with an incredible journey both before he got to America and now in the States. The guy plays for the Carolina Panthers. Our big guest today is Efe Obada. Folks, our special guest on the Irish NFL show on this Sunday is a guy that is very, very familiar to people in the UK, Ireland, and Europe. A guy that's really made the journey in the last few years, but an awesome season this season for the Carolina Panthers. We're honoured to have Efe Obada on the show. Efe, welcome in, man.
Thanks for having me.
If I ask everybody this, it doesn't matter if you're from America, from Australia, whatever. I ask everybody this because it's the Irish NFL show. Have you any Irish connections, or in your case, have you any affinity to Ireland?
Unfortunately, no, I don't. I don't have any Irish connections. I'm sorry about that.
That's all good.
Well, hopefully,
I have one now.
Yeah, you've got four tour guides for when you come over and visit, and we can show you around the little green island. Now, I suppose for you went through the International Player Pathway program. Maybe you could talk to us a little bit about that. And I know that Aidan Durden was somewhat influential early on. Maybe you could talk to us a bit about those two things.
So the NFL International Program, for guys that don't know what it is basically an amazing opportunity for athletes to have the opportunity to be on a NFL team on the practice squad for a whole year, getting coached by NFL standard coaches and going against NFL caliber talent. It allows them to grow, and that's something that I benefited from, and especially the fact that you can't get released, and this, we have a short window of time to kind of impress and to show guys that what you're capable of, and having that security really helps and really benefited a lot of people, including myself. It's currently run by William Bryce, and I think the next group of guys are in I think they're in IMG right now, getting trained up and getting coached, and some of the values of the program, and hopefully they're the next start of the next future of the program at the NFL, make an impact. In terms of Aidan Durden, he you hear my name, you hear his name. He's been very pinnacle in my start, and believe in me, when NFL was a pipe dream and it wasn't even a thing, he was the one that believed in me, took time out of his life and invested in me. And right now he's a Dallas Cowboys defensive line coach, and I'm very happy for him. I'm very happy for him. He deserves it. He works hard, and he's, I'm a footballer, so my story and my journey is more in the limelight, and for him, he's a coach, but it's amazing to see what he's achieved.
Efe, just reflecting on the season just gone, you showed your versatility, playing in a number of positions across the line. A very good season, 5.5 sacks. Just can you talk to us about how you adjusted to that? In terms of double teaming, playing within the interior across the.
Well, initially I hated the double teams. I don't know any D lineman who loves double teams, but just having the opportunity to kind of play inside, it was a blessing in disguise. It showed the trust that the team had in me for them to put me in there and know that I'll be impactful. It allowed me to learn more and increase my like you said, my versatility and my impact on the team. And so now I can, I do need to work on the run a little bit, but I feel like I'm a factor in the pass game inside and both outside. And like I said, it's a blessing in disguise because it expanded my knowledge of the game, and it allowed me to contribute more towards the team and helping them win. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
And Efe, obviously with the Panthers there, you're in a role previously hosted by people like Julius Peppers, obviously a Hall of Famer, and great pedigree there. But I want to talk about last season. You had 5.5 sacks, and you weren't. Let's be fair, you weren't sacking Nick Foles and Mitch Trubisky. You had Stafford and Ryan and Breeze and Brady. and Rodgers. It was like who's list. I'd love to ask you which was more satisfying or most satisfying, but we probably know the answer. But how much do you get into studying those guys and knowing their tendencies? Brady isn't going to run around like a Mahomes, but Aaron Rodgers is a pretty tough guy to bring down there.
Oh yeah. In terms of who I get to sack, I don't really. You don't really get to choose. You just kind of go out there every snap and you give your best. And when they come, they come. I was very fortunate to sack some of the great guys that have achieved a lot in the sport. In terms of what my favorite one would be, I know a lot of people would say Tom Brady, but I Drew Brees. I enjoyed sacking Drew Brees. He announced that he was going to retire, and I felt like this was one of my last opportunities to get him. Who knows? Like Tom Brady's not going to retire for another 10 years, so I'll probably have another shot at him. And then, but I'm just grateful. It's just a testament to the hard work. It's just an opportunity, and that was it.
Yeah, man, I think Brady could go on for another 150 years at this rate. It's a bit
Exactly.
crazy, like.
Exactly.
It's the thing is, like, you have had such a huge amount of experience in such a short period of time. I'm almost going to go off my question here, but you're talking about that development program now. Obviously, now they have the NFL Academy. Incredible to see the growth of the game in the UK, Ireland, Europe. But you've worked under two head coaches in Ron Rivera, Matt Rule, who got two, I guess, very contrasting styles of coaching. Can you give us any insight into their approach to coaching and personal relationships with players?
Um, for someone like me, I don't think it'll be a fair chance to give judgment on Rule's coaching style. I've only been under his coaching for a year under COVID. There was a lot of social distancing. And, so I don't feel like I have a fair read on what he has planned or who the type of man that he is. But I was under Coach Rivera for 3 years. And, I can definitely tell you that he's an amazing coach, an amazing man, very family orientated. He focused on developing the players both on and off the field and just being a great example of what it's like to be a man. And, that's testament to, what he done in Washington as well. He was able to get them to playoffs and, and also, in these personal battles and just being able to beat cancer. He gave me my first start, so I'm always gonna feel, some kinship towards him, and I'm very happy that he's overcome, the trials that he's going through right now, and I'm always gonna be indebted to him. So yeah.
I remember seeing a video of you bringing your teammates to Nando's when the game in London, and I was reading an interview and you talked about how when you travel to away games you like to try something from that city. So if it's Philly, it's cheesesteaks or Chicago pizza. I suppose any standouts that you've tried so far, or is there something on the list that you're looking forward to playing in a city so that you can actually get to try a local delicacy?
That is my thing. So I get to travel these amazing states, and I just kind of want to leave with something. So I'm a foodie. I love food. One of my worst experience was Green Bay. I ordered a pizza from Green Bay, and it came raw. They said that I had to make it myself, so that was a cool experience. I didn't eat it. I just left it in the hotel room. I'm sorry for the person that had to clean after that, but hope they took it home and was able to have a nice pizza. One of my favorite would probably be Dallas. There's a place called Saltgrass. They have really good steaks. There's this thing called Range Rattler. It's like a jalapeno with some shrimp and it's stuffed cheese, and it's just delicious. I recommend it to anyone. And then so when I took the guys to Nando's, some of them liked it, some of them didn't. The guys that didn't, obviously, they don't. What do they know? They don't know anything, But probably, but it's cool. I enjoy food. I've also been to a place called Gus's famous fried chicken. They have really good fried chicken. I can't remember where it was. I'm probably Detroit. But yeah, this year I didn't really get to see anything. Didn't really get to go anywhere. Stayed in the hotel. But I'm looking forward to the world going back to normal, and then I can get to explore again.
You can't beat the cheeky Nando's, isn't it? You can't beat the cheeky Nando's.
You can't. Listen, let's not talk about Nando's. They're not sponsoring it. Until they sponsor me.
Efe, the game in London last year against the Bucks, when you were honorary captain for the team, it seemed like an emotional moment for yourself, obviously, with your background. Was there any part of you at that stage where you actually realised that your ultimate goal was to play in the NFL and you've achieved it, or was it more so just the enormity of going back to London and playing a game in the new stadium at Tottenham?
That's a good question. That moment, that experience, being able to play in London, this foreign sport that is so foreign for most of us, that that didn't seem like a real thing. To be able to be out in there and be in front of my family will always stay with me. Will always be one of the highlights of my career, no matter what I achieve. Even if I go on a team, even if I play for a team that plays in the Super Bowl, that will, for me personally, that would always be amazing. In terms of the whole I made it thing, I don't think I've ever had that moment. It's always a process, it's a journey that I'm enjoying right now. But I will say there was a realization where I remembered. I told my wife, I watched one of the London games. I think it was like a Miami London game, and then I told my wife, I'm going to play one day in London. I didn't know what I was saying, but then after the game, when we was in the locker room, it came to me and I remembered it and I just started crying. You know, that I was able to, like, you know, when you say something but then you just forget about it and then it happens and you're like, oh wow, I just you know, manifested it or whatever. It was cool. It was a nice surreal moment. So yeah.
Effie, you're obviously an inspiration in many ways. Obviously, all that you've overcome, but especially even being. We've had people from NFL Europe that went to play, obviously, in the NFL, like Kurt Warner was a prime example. But you're really the first person through this international player pathway that got to an active roster and didn't go through the traditional US college system. So you've proved it can be done, and long may it continue for many people from UK, Ireland, Germany, wherever in Europe going forward. But with what you've seen there, and obviously the success of the London Games, which you took part in, could you, it would definitely escalate a bit quicker if, I don't know, we had a franchise over in European ways, maybe at some stage. So can you ever see that happening? Could you ever see, we've got you don't even worry about London, bring them to Dublin. So we can have the Celtic Warriors or something like that.
Right. Honestly, that is the dream. That is the dream. Like, I would love to, in terms of us trying to create awareness and bring the sport over here, and also create more opportunities for guys that love the sport, that want to further, that want to be a part of it, whether through coaching or players. It would be amazing if we had a London team, or we had a team. And trust me, I'll be first in line to play for that team. But the logistics will be crazy. But we have a lot of smart people in the world, so let's make it happen.
I'm thinking, Efe, we can get OC out of retirement as well then, and you and him can.
That would be great.
Imagine that America's game the year after they win the Super Bowl. OC. Yeah, imagine an AFC Championship game at Wembley at 3 a.m. It'd be good crack. It'd be good fun. No, Effie, my question's actually quite similar, but I guess it doesn't focus too much on a franchise in London. But you must be very proud sitting back to see how this game has evolved in the UK and Ireland over the last 5 years, never mind 10 years. You got the NFL channel now in Sky. I mean, for us as fans, we're like, this is mad, this is great. But for you, you're one of the spearheads at the start of this. You're going over playing in the States, and surely 30, 40, 50 years time now, that will hopefully be where many players go over from the UK, Ireland, Europe, and play hopefully in America.
Definitely. I've seen firsthand what sports can do for an individual, in terms of, myself and my life and my journey being a testimony to that. But I've also seen the culture and how sports and how teams and how American football can bring people together, and everyone has their Sunday rituals, and it goes and it's just fun, and I want that to be a part of the Europe. I want us to have our traditions. I want us to have our teams. I want us to have our Sunday football rituals, and it's just, I want that to be a part of our culture as Europe, and hopefully one day it becomes that. But for now, I'm just enjoying the journey and just witnessing what's happening. It's just fun. It's amazing.
Effie, that patented smile and just your personality, the jokes. I mean, your Twitter account, the gifts, gift game strong, the everything about it. Like, is that something that you really enjoy, the interaction with fans on there?
I love it. It's a platform where you can be yourself, and you can interact with your fans. Like, for me, the fans are the heart of everything. Without the fans, we don't have football. I don't have my platform. And honestly, when I'm back home, I do miss the English banter. Like, there's nothing like it in the world, And I feel like personally, as a football player, my fans are the most banterful, most funny, most supportive people in the world. So just to be able to take some time out my day and interact with them and give them my personality, and just it means a lot to me. It makes it all worth it for me, and it makes me feel like I'm not alone in this journey.
Efe, interesting to know what the plans are for the next few months. Obviously, another off season like no other. In comparison to next year, there'll be no voluntary training camps. In terms of what's the plan for you want a particular time off, or do you have to keep yourself in shape? And when you're
initially, I put football aside. I let go a little bit. Then just watching the Super Bowl, and then when I go on social media, I see some of my teammates, getting back at it. So now being a competitor, I have to get back on it. And also I have some goals and some targets that I want to achieve this upcoming year. And, some of my weakness that I need to work on and things like that. So you don't really fully take some time off. You have to kind of stay in moderately in shape. But I get to spend some lockdown with my wife. I get to enjoy the local Tesco trips and, just kind of enjoy Nando's, just little things that I just get to miss not being in London. So I get to experience. But yeah, right now I'm just chilling. But I'm gonna start in a minute.
Efe, you're giving it away too much. We can do some personal sponsorship deals for you, I think, with supermarket chains, restaurant chains that remain unnamed. You've got it going on. So I'm going out for a cheeky X.
Yeah, I am.
Sponsor tweet.
We'll post over the boxes as well of the packs. The ones you make at home. We'll post them over twice a month to Carolina or wherever.
Can I just say though? I mean, you're back home in London at the moment. Is that where you are?
I am.
I gathered with the Tesco reference, but I'm just wondering about the guy who just randomly passes you in the Tesco and looks around and go, Jesus, that guy. I mean, geez, he could play American football or something.
I get that a lot.
Oh,
in terms of size, yeah.
Well, I mean, you're a fantastic, man. It's great to have you on and get a bit of banter. But I mean, I've got to ask you a little bit about the football, and particularly that game we just saw last week. You're a D-line guy. Was there part of you that felt a bit, I don't know, even jealous looking at Sue and JPP and Barrett have a field day with that Chiefs offensive line and Patrick Mahomes on the run? I mean, how did you, what were your thoughts about the Super Bowl and that D-line?
Of course. I'm definitely jealous. I'm on the sofa and, they're on that big stage where I worked hard to be and I want to be there. But, credit to them for doing that. And that was an amazing defensive performance, against a great team. The Super Bowl obviously kept me up. I paid for it the following day, but it was an amazing experience. It was an okay game, if I was to be honest. I wanted it to be a bit more close and a bit more competitive, and I wanted it all the way down to the wire. But there's Tom Brady, and he just cemented how much of a great player he is. There was this debate about, was it Tom Brady, was it Bill Belichick, was it all of this. And I feel like he answered that, and not just Tom Brady. I know there's the whole organization and the other guys that are performing, and like you said, the defensive side. But it was a cool game. But now it just lit a fire in me. Now it's done. You've got that one. So there's a next one coming that possibly I could be involved in. So that's how I see it.
And you'll get 2 cracks at the Super Bowl champs, obviously, next season as well. So
yes, let's go.
I'll tell you what, man, you must have hated watching that game at 3:20 in the morning. You're back, I'm finally home here. Oh, how does everybody do this? I have one final question, man, if that's all right. You're in London, yeah? So yes. I mean, you can be as honest as this as much as you want. Have you got a Premier League team? Have you got Arsenal, Tottenham, Chelsea? Have you got a team in the Premier League?
Honestly, I don't have a team. When I was coming up, I wasn't really big into sports. I never had a team. Like when I was, but I will say this: there is nobody out there that can beat me on FIFA.
Oh, well, that sounds like a challenge, boys.
There is no one out there at all. I'm
get a PS5 out there and get
the. I'm the guy. I grew up on Pro Evolution Sports, made the transition into FIFA, and I've never looked back ever since. And even though I don't play the sport or I don't follow a team, that's my game.
Efe, I have to say, this has been so much fun to be talking to an NFL player who calls us lads, who talks about transitioning from Pro Ev to FIFA, and talks about going out to get Nando's. Hopefully, you are a trailblazer, and it becomes a common thing. But look, we want to thank you for taking the time. Wish you the best for the off season. You've talked about the goals that you've set for yourself. Hope you achieve them, and maybe we can talk to you again once the new season kicks off.
Of course, and I would like to thank you guys. Honestly, this is amazing what you guys are doing. I hope it gains a lot of traffic. I hope you get all the sponsorships, and I hope that it grows worldwide. And thank you for being a part of the sport.
Appreciate it, Efe. Thank you, man.
Thank you.